fly the wingtop, go places, and one place I've always wanted to go was the Bahamas. So my adventure started back actually a couple years ago. If you read this, and we'll go through this because I think it's relative information, but up at Oshkosh, I met Jim, who owns Caribbean Flying Adventures. He's got one of the tables in one of the buildings that you go through and stroll through and everything, and I asked him a million questions. He's got a great website, so if you're interested in going to the Bahamas, pay the $30, join his website. He has a lot of other things that he does, but that's where my adventure started. I was very nervous, obviously, as you can imagine. The first year you do anything the first time you're nervous, and stuff like that. So, but I think if you ever want to go and you read through this, I'd be glad to help you. Bob can't answer this question because I told him the answer, but what do you think the hardest thing about flying, what is the hardest thing about flying to the Bahamas? What do you think it is?
Getting back into the U.S.
Getting back in the U.S.
Customs.
Customs.
Fatigue.
Fatigue.
Fear.
All right, the hardest thing about flying to Bahamas is flying in southern Florida. Everything else is a piece of cake, all right? How many people have their instrument rating? Okay. So the only reason I bring that up is that, you can certainly fly VFR to the Bahamas. You can fly VFR coming home from the Bahamas, all right? But southern Florida gets really hazy and cloudy and stuff like that. So it's not saying that you can't do it VFR. You're probably just going to need more time and luck, because you're going to get yourself in a position where it's low overcast, clouds move through Florida and stuff like that pretty rapidly. But I would say you'd be another reason to get your instrument rating is so you can go to the Bahamas without any problems, okay? So let's just talk real quick. What are the steps about going to the Bahamas? What do you got to do before you even think about going? Before you even do your flight plans and things like that. So step one is EFIS. It's a government website. Imagine that. It's like a IFR planning, right? You put your information in there. It lets the government know what you're doing. That I'm going to leave the United States and I am going to the Bahamas.
What if I'm flying a balloon?
What if you're flying?
Manned or unmanned?
Well, I think if they filed an EFIS, that they wouldn't have gotten shot down, right? So I've given you the points about this. It is a relatively easy thing to do once you've done it the first time. It took me quite a while to figure it out. One of the things that you have to do is put in your airport of departure, right? You'd think that'd be pretty easy, right? Well, they only give you like 4 airports in Florida you can depart from, right? But in reality, you can depart from any airport you want. You just have to put down one of the 4 airports that you depart from, or that they want you to depart from. It's stupid. But anyway, those are kind of little tricks that you need to know. Also, putting yourself in the system as a pilot, anybody you're taking as crew members. That way, the next time you fill it out, they're there again. And again, if you ever want to go, I'd be glad to help you with that. Step 2 is you have to get a sticker from the U.S. Border Commission that looks like this. This little sticker here, the 21 year 21, cost you $30. I never stuck it on the plane, just kept it with me to have. Nobody's ever probably going to ask you for it, but I did have it. There's some stuff out there about a radio license. You don't need a radio license. You don't need to worry about that. So you go online, pay your $30. They mail you the sticker. You do need to make sure you have that before you fly, because you need to put that number into EFIS. So you need to be thinking ahead, and I mentioned that in here. So let's talk about flying to the islands, right? So now that's all you got to do: EFIS and a sticker. Now, when I went the first time, that was during COVID. It was a pain in the ass, because you had to enter all the information about COVID, but that's all gone away. Right? So I took that all out of this write-up. You don't need to do anything for COVID anymore, but literally that's all you need is to file a plan in EFIS and get a dang sticker. So it's pretty easy. Flying to the island. So however you get there, and I'll talk about how I got there and what my recommendations are, but I would highly recommend leaving from, I'm going to say this wrong, Okeechobee. I think I said it right. Big ass lake in the middle of Florida. If you don't know, look at a map. There's a great airport right on the north side of it. Great GA airport, great restaurant, low cost fuel. It's about 50 miles from the coastline, all right? However you get there, refuel, have a lunch, whatever, and then leave from there. You do need to file an EFIS, right? So the day before, if you ever filed an IFR plan, you know, you can file it a day ahead. It doesn't really matter. You can file multiple ones, right? If you don't know exactly when you're going to leave. Leaving's easy. They really don't care. They just leave. But they want, you know, you got to file an EFIS to get out because that lets them know that you're out of the country, lets them know the plane and the number and things like that. I fly IFR out of the, leaving the country. You can fly VFR however you want, just get flight following, probably a good idea. People always ask me, do I take flotation devices and stuff like this? So leaving the country and you're flying over water, obviously more than just a lake. You know, I've got the nice, and I'm willing to let anybody borrow these, but the but anyway, if anybody wants to model this, but you know, it's just basically lays on your chest, pull in case you're getting yourself in trouble, all that stuff. First time we went, it's a funny story. First time we went, we were getting ready to leave, and I couldn't get my electronic device to file a flight plan, so I had to just do it the old-fashioned way, talking to somebody. And my wife happened to be listening, which was, you know that button that says crew only or pilot only? I should have hit that because he's reading down the things and he's like, how many souls are aboard? And she's like, what? I said 3. And then they go, what color are the life jackets? And I go, well, there's a, you know, this was before this one. I said, well, they're fluorescent orange and one black. And she's like, black? So my daughter was wearing a black one, so she traded with her because she didn't want to wear a black. Anyway, because you know they're looking for you in the water if something happens to go on, right? So, and then the first year I did, a friend of mine, I took this along. It's a 4-man raft. Anybody want to pull it? You can only pull this if you can get it back into the thing. But it's not necessary. You don't have to take a raft. I did not take it the second time. I think it's 30 pounds. I was like, hell that. But, well, the other thing, when you fly the Bahamas, you're literally 90 miles. There are 700 islands in the Bahamas, right? 30 of them, I think, have, you know, activity on them and stuff like that. But once you're 90 miles out, you're over islands. So, I mean, I felt pretty confident that if something happened to myself or whatever, we'd ditch by an island or whatever and hang out for a day or so. But, so we didn't take that second time, but that is available. I put a note here, your EFB, make sure it covers the Bahamas. If you want to file a flight plan, things like that, make sure you upgrade, or just, mine does it, but it doesn't allow me to file a flight plan, so I just call it in. No big deal.
So you just download it from ForFlight? Is that like a state?
Yeah, I use FlyQ, so I don't know what the other ones, but I'm sure, you know, everybody likes to charge for extra things and stuff like that. But you do need that. That would be helpful. So somebody said customs. You know, what's the hardest thing about flying to the Bahamas? Customs? No. So it depends on where you fly into. So the first time we went to Long Island. I'll show you some pictures of that. It's an island that's pretty far out. It's about 2.5 hours out of Fort Lauderdale. When you fly out there, you land at an airport. There's actually 2 airports. If you start looking at the Bahama Islands, you'll see that about every island has an airport. Okay, that's how they get stuff in and out, and a lot of things happen that way. Long Island has 2 airports. One does not have customs. One does. We landed obviously the one that has customs. Literally, you walk into this concrete little building with a guy sitting behind the screen, or you know whatever, and he helps you fill out the paperwork if you didn't fill it out before. you pay your money and you get in and out. You know, they go out and they look at your stuff and go, okay. You know, they're not trying to look for anything. So getting into the country, just make sure you have your passports and all that stuff. Like I said, on Jim's website, there is all the forms. You know, you can fill them out if you'd like to. Certainly bring them with you, but again, it's very easy. I would not be concerned about filling out the forms. So you go have fun, right? You can island hop. So if you want to go from island to island, there's a $50 charge. So that when you go to the next customs place, you just hand it to them. They're like, okay, you're in the island. You've already been gone through customs and stuff like that. I would highly suggest you island hop. It's fun. There's nothing more beautiful than the Bahama Islands, and the reason is because it's so shallow.
Water's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's turquoise water and white beaches, and I'll show you a video here if I can pull it up. So again, have fun. We stayed in Airbnbs both times. We rented cars. I will tell you, Long Island. So let's talk about Long Island. Very basic. The main road, everything's called a Queens Highway. All right, every island has a Queens Highway. The one in Long Island was a piece of crap. You have to be very careful with the car. All the roads are crap. They just don't repair them. But just beautiful places to go. Very quiet. If you're going there and you want to, like a friend of mine who wants, it's like, how many bars are there? I'm like, 0. I mean, there really aren't very many things to do at night, but just beautiful, pristine beaches and not many people. So if that's your gig, and you know all the stuff we're going to use at the Airbnb. You can take alcohol. You're only supposed to take a quart. I just stowed away a bunch more in our other baggage. But anyway, you can take food. So don't be, if it's for personal use, they don't mind on that. And then coming back to the United States, I file an IFR plan. But you can come VFR, just got to do flight following. So you get the code and they're tracking you on your way in, pretty much. Bring some cash. Everybody took credit cards, but you'll find that you have to pay cash for things. And I don't understand this, I never asked the question, but the Bohemian dollar equals an American dollar, which I don't really understand. But if you bring back Bohemian dollars, it's certainly not going to spend the same way as it does there, right? They'll take dollars, so try to get rid of all those dollars before you leave. The last thing I would say is that, so how do you get there? So our first year, not having any knowledge, I'm just like, let's go. And things I didn't take into consideration was, let's see, in December, you lose an hour going to East Coast, right? So I'm losing an hour, and then the days aren't as long, right? I didn't think about that. So the first year we stopped, in Mississippi, and then flew into Florida, and it got too late, and so we actually spent the night in Florida because I ran out of daylight, right? By the time I would have been to the islands. I could have fixed that by leaving at 5 in the morning, but I didn't think about that. So we stayed, which is honestly, it's the best thing about flying, right? I just stop, grab a hotel in a new city that I've never been in, right? And so we did that, spent the day on the evening on the beach in Florida, and then flew the next day. Next time, smarter now, we leave the evening before, so we fly down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Great airport. You're 5 minutes from a great hotel and great food and stuff like that. We've done that twice. I've been to Florida another time, but so I put in here, stopping at Tuscaloosa is a great place to, if you want to spend the night before, that just gives you that much more time the next day to get there. Obviously during the summer you wouldn't have to worry about that. I'll also throw if you don't need to stop for the night, stop at Prattville, our favorite airport. Prattville, Mississippi. And you wonder why we like Prattville? Well, they have great people at the airport. They got a courtesy car to take you into downtown Prattville, which is about 6 miles. And you can go to Uncle Mick's Cajun restaurant, which is probably, if it was closer, I'm sure we would fly there all the time. It is an excellent restaurant. So that's it. So I challenge you. It's not that hard.
Hey, can you fly club airplanes to the Bahamas?
You can fly a club airplane. Now, I say that, but I don't know if the board allows it, but I did, I mean, I think it needs board approval, but our insurance does cover the Bahamas. I did call and make sure that, I would imagine, if you asked the board to do it, that, they would look at it and, see what maybe your, I don't know what the rules are
Depends on
yet.
how many $2 charges you had that month.
Yeah, but all club planes are legal to go to the Bahamas. Now, I don't know that I'd take a 172 to the Bahamas, but maybe the 182 and certainly the Debonair would definitely be a good plane to, take to the Bahamas.
It's good for building hours.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely, so.
There's an Instagram account called Fly Me to the Fun, and they have a Cessna 150, and they went across the Bahamas, San Juan, all the Virgin Islands,
In a
all the way
150?
down to Turks and Caicos. And we did the landing at St. Bart's, and then we came all the way back.
Oh,
Wow.
150.
Yeah.
That's
It was
awesome.
awesome.
I mean, that'd be like.
They could only bring like 25 pounds worth
Yeah.
of clothes. They had to do their laundry the whole
Oh
time.
my God, how long did it take?
I don't know. I mean, great story.
So time-wise, again, I'm talking in a Debonair or a V35. You're about, it's a total flight time is about 8 hours. It's not bad. Think about driving to Houston or Dallas or something. You're like, heck, I drive that. I've done that before. Well, I can be. That's why I tell my wife, I'm like, we can be in the Bahamas in 8 hours. Of course, I got to stop and get fuel, but.
I presume you have an autopilot in your plane, right?
I do have an
That
autopilot.
probably helps a lot on the.
I do have an
Flights get long.
So Bahamas.com is that's their national, that's the ministry of the Bahamas, Bahamas.com. Tells you about all the islands if you want to learn about all the islands. But those are the three main islands, are the Eleuthera, Exuma, and Long Island. Of course, there's some other ones you can fly to, but I would suggest that you take a look at those. So the best thing one of the best things about doing is, and I don't have enough room, but all the visualization, I mean, it's so beautiful flying over the islands. And again, because it's so shallow and everything, it just pops at you. So this is us at Long Island. You can see, it's a pretty simple airport. The bird's sitting there. And so Long Island, obviously the Long Island. We stayed up at the north end. But flew to the southern end to go for a day trip, landed at the airport, and then got a car. They picked us up and went for a day trip out on the ocean. One of the things I'll show you here, and another reason I would highly recommend you to go to Long Island is Dean's Blue Hole. So if you don't know what that is, right here, it's the second deepest hole in the world, depth-wise. And swimming across that thing, I felt like somebody was going to come up and just eat me. There's a platform. It's not there all the time, but that's where they do the world's free dive. Take a deep breath and good luck.
How far did you get this?
I think the record's like 340 feet. Can you believe that?
Oh my gosh. Wow.
But it's just beautiful. And this is Dean's Blue Hole looking out. You can see it's in a bay. And you see 3 people. I mean, that's what it's like, we were there pretty much by ourselves. This is the resort I told you about at the end. It is just beautiful. If we go back to Long Island, we'll probably stay there. But it's got 15 buildings or whatever, just white sand, and it's just beautiful. So. That is Long Island. I don't think I have any more.
Any golf courses on Long Island?
There is not, but there is Exuma. Exuma actually has a sandals. Yeah, it has a sandals. Has an 18 goal. I don't know if everybody can play it, but it does have a goal. You don't see those people because why would they leave that resort? So this is Exuma. Again, more population. One of our favorite restaurants up there in the corner. This was sunset every night at the place we stayed. It was just, we rushed back there to sit on the deck and have a beverage and watch the sun come down. Again, nobody there, just me and my feet. And looking at that. So on our trip, we saw iguanas. They're like cats. They just come up and let you pick them up and feed them as long as you feed them. Pigs, swimming with pigs. I probably got 30 pictures of swimming with pigs and stuff like that. But you go to an island, and that's a big thing down in Exuma is the swimming pigs. I think they just do it because they know they get fed. It's crazy. I mean, there's literally 40 pigs, 50 pigs in the water.
Does most of the airports there have fuel?
Yes. Yep. Pretty much. Fuel was $10 a gallon. You know, so that's why I fueled up in there in Florida, and topped it off. I only put 20 gallons on coming home because all I need to do was get back. So what we do when we come back, we go through Fort Lauderdale, and then we hop up to Ochabogie again, which is only about 50 miles. Stop for lunch, fuel up, and then head home. But you'll find low fuel there. So.
Were all the airstrips good quality down there?
Yeah, I mean, they bring in the thing about those airstrips is that's their main, way of getting people to the island, beyond boats and stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't have any problem with the quality of runway or anything like that. The Exuma airport is actually getting a new terminal, I guess you want to call it. Nothing, great, but they're putting a lot of money into that. Now it's on Bohemian time, right? So which means it may take them 3 years, but. The people there were great, tip everybody, obviously that makes them happy, and when you're leaving your plane at an airport, you're like, please take care of it. But that's a little bit about the pictures. I've got 1,000, didn't think I want to bore you with those, but again, don't be afraid to go in the Bahamas. Go down there for at least a week, give yourself some time. Maybe go to a different island if you want to, but I want to see if I can do this. Here, hold on. I know I can. So, so yeah, there you go. So this is flying down Long Island. This is where we're flying down the island to go to the other airport. That was kind of short, but it's so beautiful. And then this, I think, so this might answer your question a little bit. So this is landing, this is actually Long Island. So this is landing at Long Island. So no grading my landing. I'm here, so it was a good landing. But that's a typical runway you just saw there. It's just, and it's obviously all untowered. You're just talking to people if there's anybody around. It's not like it's a high.
What, was there anybody around? Was there anybody?
When we flew into Exuma this time, there was another plane flying in the area. The funny part is I tried to call the frequency or the tower or whatever, and they're like, and a guy called and said, well, they changed the number. Here's the new number. I'm like, oh, thank you. But again, here's the. Sorry, I made it so you don't. There's no. Did he make it? So
who's filming that?
That'd be my wife.
There you go.
Them flying in at the same time.
Yeah.
That's from the right seat. You can see that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
from the right seat. So, but again, you can see.
Serviceable landing.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, there we go. So again, just take precautions. Ask questions. And don't be afraid to do it. It's a great place to go, great adventure. And that's why you fly, I hope. I mean, to go to places like that when you're like, and I think I can get to the Bahamas faster than you can commercially, to be honest, if you think about all the things you got to do. And plus it gives us the convenience to leave whenever you want, right? And stuff like that.
Did you change currency? Did you change dollars?
No, like I said, they take American dollars, or I pay 99% of the time I pay with a credit card, which does it on the backside, right?
So what were the day and nighttime temps in December?
78 and 65 or whatever.
Nice.
It's beautiful down there. And when we were going, it's like everything else. You look at the forecast and it says 40% chance of rain and 40% chance of freaking sunshine all day long. And you might have a cloud move through or whatever. Anyway, Any other questions?
Was it one $50 customs fee or one at each island?
So no, when you land at the first island, you go through it, and now if you're not gonna fly to other islands, there's no fee for that. Now, when you leave, there's like $100 fee, you know, to leave, right? So they do charge you some fee to get out of there. But it's expected to be, you know, pay something.
That $50 fee is so you can go to other islands?
So you can go to the other islands and not have, you know, you've already, it's a thing that says you've already gone through customs and everything, so they just wave you through.
Do rule changes, like maps different, airspace is different?
Nope, I mean, you get out there, you know, you'll be on Nassau approach, you know, you'll go from Florida, you'll go from Miami, be on Miami Center or Miami approach departure, then you go to Miami Center, then you'll go to Nassau, and then they pretty much, I was almost to Exuma, and they just said, see you later, you know, they're like, you're fine, shoo. They don't really care. But it's pretty simple again. And again, I do it IFR or VFR, but I mean, it'd be even easier VFR, right? They're not even gonna bother you. So, do look at the weather. When we flew to Exuma, I did find myself, which is, you know, a total IMC, flying out there for a while, which was.
You get on top?
Huh?
On top?
I was not on top, no, I was right in the middle of the clouds. So, that's why I say, you know, instrument rating is preferred, just because, gives you a lot more flexibility and stuff like that, but not, I mean, it's not necessary. Well, again, if you ever decide to go or something you want to talk about, I mean, I'm passionate about it. Like I said, we're going back down in March, I think, later in March to check out the other island and just hang out. So, but I encourage you to use your flight, your freedom of flight to do things like this.
Cool.
Well done.
Thank you. How long's your deal?
Yeah, I got 8 minutes.
Good, good.